Okay, hello everyone. So in today's lecture, we will learn about the configuration of test runner and creating and running unit test and Android support library. So uh, after learning this chapter, you will understand about the Androids, what is Android support library, how it can be downloaded into your uh, Android Studio, and also you can learn about the how to configure the test runner like espresso and all the types of test runner we already learned. So let's start from the configure our test runner. So a test runner is a library or a set of tool that enable testing to occur and result to be printed to a log. So your Android project has access to a basic JUnit test runner, and as a part of JUnit 4 API, and the Android test support library include test runner for instrumented and espresso test. So Android JUnit runner, which also supports uh, JUnit 3 and 4. So this chapter only demonstrate the default runner for unit test. So to set Android JUnit runner as the default test runner is your Google project. So add the following dependency to the build.gradle file, and they may already be dependency in your default config section. So and the test instrumentation runner line to that section. So for that, you need to add Android. Just open the curly bracket and write default config, and again open the curly bracket. So inside this, just write test instrumentation runner, and after that write in double quotes android.support.test.runner.android junit runner. So this code can be help you to add the test instrumentation runner line to that section. Okay. um, Next is creating and running unit test. So creating and running unit tests. For that, you should create your unit test as a generic Java file using the JUnit 4 API, and store those tests in the test stores set. So each Android Studio project template include this source set and a sample Java test file that called the that called example unit test. Now you can create a new test class. So to create a new test class file, just add the Java file to the test source and set for your project. And the test class file for unit testing are typically named for the class in your app that you are testing, with the test appended. So for example, if you have a class called calculator in your app, the class for your unit test would be calculator test. So to add a new test class file, use these steps. First step you should have to do that: expand the Java folder, and then the folder of your app test source set. The existing unit test class file are shown. So just right click the test source set folder and select a new, and then click the Java class, and after that name the file and just click the OK button. So how then after that just write your after that just write your test. So use JUnit 4 syntax and annotation to write your test. So for example the test class shown below including the following annotation. Like first annotation is run with annotation in run with. Second annotation is small test. Third annotation is at the rate before. Fourth annotation is at the rate test. So the first annotation, that is at the rate run with, this annotation indicate that the test runner that should be used for the test in this class. At the rate small test annotation indicate that this is the small test. Okay, and it can be also a fast also. Next annotation is the at the rate before annotation mark a method as before the setup for the test. Next annotation is at the rate test. So annotation mark a method as an actual test. So for more information on the information on the J unit and J unit annotation, you can see that how it can be written, like at the rate run with, in which you just pass the JUnit 4 dot class, and after that at the rate small test, and then write the small test code for that. So public class calculator test, in which you just click that, just open that class, and in which you just write a private calculator M calculator. Means you just create a instance of the for debugging. There are some more tools for debugging. So Android Studio and Android SDK include a number of other tools to help you find and correct issue in your code. So these tools include system log, tracing and logging, the Android debugging bridge, okay, Delvic debug monitor server, CPU and memory monitor, and screenshot and video capture. Okay, so what is system log or a log cat? So as you have learned, you can use the log class to send message to the Android system log, and view those messages in the Android Studio. So to write log message in your code, use the log classes, and log message help you understand the execution flow by collecting the system debug output. So while you interact with your app, log message can tell you what part of your application filed. So you for more information about logging, you can just read about the writing log. Okay, reading and writing log. So next one is tracing and logging. The next way is tracing and logging. So analyzing traces allow you to see how much time is spent in certain methods, and which one is taking the longest time. So to create the trace file, firstly include the debug class and call the start method tracing method. So in the call, you specify a base name for the trace file that the system generates. So to stop tracing, just call the stop method tracing, and these methods start and stop method tracing across the entire virtual machine. So for example, you could call start method tracing in an activity on create method, and you can also call stop method tracing in the activity on destroy method. Excuse me. So the Android debug bridge is command line tool that let you communicate with emulator instance or connected Android power device. Okay. Okay. Next one is Delvik monitor server. So the Delvik debug monitor server tools provide a port forwarding service and screen capture. So thread and heap information, locate, process, and radio state information, incoming call, and system spoofing. So so location data spoofing and more. Okay. So CPU and memory monitor. CPU and memory monitor. Just Android Studio include the number of monitor to help you visualize the behavior and performance of your app. And the next one is a screenshot and video capturing. So these are some more tool for debugging. Next topic is trace logging and the Android trace login and Android manifest Android manifest. So there are a multiple type of debugging available to you beyond setting breakpoint and stepping through code. So we can also use we can also use logging and tracing to find issue with your code. So when you have a trace log file, um, you can load and you can load the log file in trace view. So these which display the log data in a two panel. First panel is timeline panel and second panel is profile panel. So timeline panel that describe when each thread and method started and stopped. And profile panel provide a summary of what happened inside a method. So likewise, we can set debuggable in the application tag of the Android manifest to true, which set whether or not the application can be debugged. So even when running on a device is in user mode, by default this value is set to false. So you can create and configure build type in the module level build.gradle file. So inside the Android block, when you create a new module, Android Studio automatically create a debug and release build type for you. So although the debug build type doesn't appear in the build configuration file, so Android Studio configure it with debuggable true, so which allow you to debug the open or secure Android device and configure APK singing with APK signing with the generic debug key store. So you can add the debug build type to your configuration if you want to add or change certain setting. So at these changes made for debugging must be removed from your code before release, because they can impact the execution and performance production code. So you can prepare your app for release. You must remove all the extra code in your source file and you wrote the test and you wrote the testing purpose. So in addition to appearing the code itself, there are a few other testing you need to complete in order to get your app ready to publish. So these include these include removing and logging statement. Okay, these include actually removing and logging statement. Remove any call to show toast and disable debugging in the Android manifest by either removing Android colon debuggable attributes from application tag or setting Android colon debuggable attribute to false. So remove all debug tracing call from your source code file, such as start method tracing and stop method tracing. So guys, next topic is testing our app. So even through you have an app that compile and run and look the way you want to on a different device. So you must make sure that your app will behave the same way you expect it on the every situation. So especially as your app grow and changes. So even if you try to manually test your app every time, so you make a change, a tedious prospect at best. You might miss something or not anticipate not anticipate what end user might do with your app to cause it to fail. So right and running test is a critical part of software development process, because test driven development, that is TDD, is a popular software development philosophy that place test uh, at the core of all software development for the application or service. So this doesn't this doesn't negate the need on this doesn't negate the need for further testing. It merely gives you a solid baseline to work with. So testing your code can help you to catch issues early in development. So when they are the least expressive to address, and also improve the robustness of your code. So as your app get large and more complex with the test in your code, you can exercise a small portion of your app in in isolation and in an automobile and a representable manner. So because the code you write to test your app doesn't end up in the production version of your app, so it leaves only on your development machine, so alongside your app code on Android Studio. So the point are, what are the types of tests are present. So Android support several different kind of test and testing frameworks. So to basic form of testing, uh, Android support a local unit test and instrument test. So local unit test are tested that tested that are compiled and run entirely on your local machine with the Java Virtual Machine, that is JVM. So use a local unit test to test the part of your app and that do not need access to the Android framework or Android device or emulator. So to those for which you can create a fake object that pretend to behave like a framework evaluation, framework equivalence. Okay, framework equivalence. Next way is instrumented tested. Instrumented tested are tests that run on the Android device or emulator. So these tests have access to Android framework and instrumentation information such as app context. So you can use instrument test for unit testing and user interface testing or integration testing also. So making sure the component of your app interact correctly with other app or not. So most commonly you are instrumented you will use instrumented test for UI testing, and which allow you to test that your app behave correctly. So when the user interact with your app activity or it enter a specific input. So for more forms of user interface testing, like you can use Espresso framework, which allow you to write automated UI test, and also you will learn about instrument test and Espresso in further. Okay. So let's understand what is unit testing. So unit test should be a fundamental test in a app testing strategy, and by creating and running unit against your code, you can verify that the logic of individual function codes are on unit is correct. So running unit test after every build help you to catch and fix problem instructed by the code change to your app. The unit test generally exercise the function of smallest possible unit of code is representable way. So create a unit test when you need to verify the logic of a specific code in your app. So for example, if you are unit testing a class, so your test might check that the class is in the right state. For a method, you might test its behavior for a different value of its parameters. So that is especially sometimes null value is put on. So typically the unit of code is tested in isolation. So your test monitor change to that unit only. So mocking framework such as Mockito can be used to isolate your unit from its dependency. So you can also write your unit test for Android in a JUnit or a common unit testing framework for Java code. Next is the Android testing support library, and the Android testing support library. So the Android testing support library provide the infrastructure and API for testing Android apps. it includes the support for JUnit, and with the testing support library, you can build and run test code for your app. So you may already have the Android testing support library installed in your Android Studio. So to check the Android support repository, follow these steps. Okay, follow these steps. So in Android Studio, just in Android Studio, just choose the tool button, and then click on the Android. And after clicking the Android, you will see a SDK manager. Just click on that, or then click the SDK tool tab, and look for the support repository. If necessary, just update or install the library. And Android testing support and Android testing support library classes and located under the Android support test package. So these are also older testing API in Android test. So you should use the support library first, and when given a choice between a support library and older APIs, as the support library help build and distribute test in the cleaner and the more reliable fashion than directly coding against the API itself. So setting up testing to prepare your project for testing in Android Studio, you need to first organize your test in the source set. Okay, and then configure your project Gradle dependency in your into the including test release API. Okay, so first, and for setting up testing, so first we will what we do, we first set the source set. Okay, we first organize the test in a source set. So what is Android Studio source set? So source set are a collection of related code in your project that are for a different build target of other flavors of your app. So when Android Studio create your project, it create three source set for you. So the main source set for your app code and uh, the test source set for your app, and the locate unit test and the Android test source set. So the Android instrumented test and the source set appear in the Android Android view under the package name on your app. So the main source set include just the package name, and the test and Android test source set the package name followed by test or Android test respectively. So these source set correspondence to folder in the SRC directory for the project. So for example, the file for the test source set are located in the src/test/java. Next step, we have to then we have to configure Gradle for test dependency. So to use the unit test API, you need to configure the dependency on your project. The default Gradle build file on your project includes some of these dependency by default, but you may need to add more dependency for additional testing features such as matching or mocking framework. So in your apps, just top level build.gradle file specify these library as dependency. So note that the version number for these library may be changed. So if Android supports a newer library, just update the number to reflect the correct version. Okay. So guys, it is version is totally changeable. So as per your need, just change that version number. So after your add dependency to your build.gradle file, you may have to synchronize your project to continue, and just click sync that sync now in the Android Studio when prompted. After that, just configure the test runner, and test runner is a library or set of tools that actually enable testing to occur and the result to be printed to a log. So your Android project has access to basic JUnit test runner as a part of your JUnit APIs. So the Android test support library include the test runner for instrumented and espresso test. So Android JUnit runner, which also support JUnit 3 and JUnit 4. So in this lesson, we only demonstrate the default runner for unit test. So to set Android JUnit runner as a default test runner in the Gradle project, so just add the following dependency on your build.gradle file. So there may already be dependency in the default config session. So if you add the test instrumentation instrumentation on runner line to that section. So you can just write Android default config, and in which you just default config, and in which just write test instrumentation runner double quotes android.support.test.runner.android JUnit runner, and just close the brackets. So creating and running unit testing. So create your unit test as a generic Java file using a JUnit API, and store these tests in the test source set. So each Android Studio project template include this source set and a sample Java test file that call actually a example unit test, and create a new test class. To create a new test class file, just add a Java file to just add the Java file to the test source set to your project, and test class file for unit testing are typically named for the class in your app that you are testing, and that you are testing with a test appended. So for example, if you have the class called calculator in your app, the calculator on your app, the class for the unit test would be calculator test. So to add a new test class file, use these steps, like expand the Java folder and Java folder and the Java folder and folder for your app test source set. So the existing unit test class file are shown as and then after that just right click on the test source of the folder and just select the new button, and then click Java class. So name the file and then click OK. Write your test. So use JUnit 4 syntax and anno- uh, annotation to write your test. So for example, the test class show the below include the following annotation, like the @run with annotation indicate the test runner that should be used for test in the class. Next is the small test annotation that actually indicate that the small that indicate this is a small test, and also before annotation mark a method as being the setup for the test. Next annotation is a @test. This annotation marks the method as a actual test. So add to number method is the only actual test and the key part of the unit test in the assertion. So which defined here by the assertion method. Assert that method, and assertion are expression that must evaluate and result in the value of true for the test to pass JUnit, and it provide a number of assertion method, but it assert that method is a most flexible as it allowed to generate it allowed to generate purpose comparison method called matchers. So the Hemcrest framework is commonly used for matchers, and Hemcrest include a large number of comparison method, as well as enabling you to write your own. So for more information on assertion, see the JUnit reference documentation for the assert class. So for more information on the Hemcrest framework, just see you can just see that properly and check that what are the functions they provide. So note that the add to number method in the example include only one assertion, and the general rule for unit test is to provide a separate test method for every individual assertion, and grouping more with the one assertion and the method. Okay, so guys, for a source set is a collection of related code in the project that are actually a different build target or the flavors of your app. So when Android Studio create the project, so it creates 3 source set for you. And the main first is the main source set of your app code and resources, and then test resource set, and then Android test source set. So source set appear in the Android Studio, Android view under the package name of your app. The main source set include just the package name, and then the just test and Android test source. So the source set have the package name followed by or Android test respectively. So these sources corresponding to the folder in the SRC directory for your project. For example, the file for the test source set are located in the src/test/java. Now we have to configure the Gradle for test dependency. So to use the JUnit test API, you need to configure the dependency for your project. The default Gradle build file of your project includes some of these dependency by default. So, but you may need to add more dependency for additional testing features such as matching or mocking framework. So, if your app top level build.gradle file specify these library as a dependency, note that the version number of these library may have changed. So if Android Studio supports a newer library, update the number to reflect the current version. So after add these dependency to your build file, you may have to sync your project to continue, and just click on the sync now in the Android Studio when you complete. After that, you just configure the test runner. So for that, a test runner is a library or a set of tools that actually enable testing to occur, uh, and the result is to be printed to the log. So your Android project has access to a JUnit test runner as part of the JUnit API. So the Android test support library include a test runner for instrumented and espresso test, which is also supported by the JUnit 3 and 4. And this in this lesson, we only demonstrate the default runner for the unit test. So to set Android JUnit runner as the default test runner in your Gradle project, just add the following dependency to the build.gradle file, and these may already be there may be already dependency in your default config section. So if you add the test instrumentation runner in runner line to that section. So guys, next you can learn this topic from the Android programming cookbook, and there are some more programming aspects are there for exercising. So guys, just learn from this book. After that, after learning this lesson, you will just do this exercise, in which the broadcast include the information about about the battery state level, etc. So it just asks you in which the broadcast that include the information about the battery state. So there are four options. You can tell me the answer at which. Next question is this. Next question is this. How many size are supported by the Android? Next is how to pass the data between activities in Android. Next question. Next question. Next. Okay, guys. So this is all about for the today. Okay. So next testing types we will learn in the later class.